All right, so let's take a look at Atlassian's Q1 2025 earnings call. We've got their shareholder letter, of course, and the press release. We listened to the analyst and Q&A.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. Especially with this whole transformation that they've got going on, the big push into enterprise, and of course, everybody wants to know about AI.
Well, let's start with the top line numbers. Yeah. Atlassian beat revenue expectations for the quarter, and their cloud revenue, it's just growing like crazy, up 31% year over year.
It's really interesting where this growth is coming from. You've got customers obviously moving away from the older server products, embracing the cloud. You've got the strong organic growth within the cloud segment itself. And then it seems like the overall economy is cooperating, at least for now. So that always helps with sales.
Yeah, it feels like that cloud-first strategy is really paying off. Customers want those cloud-based features, especially the AI-powered ones. And speaking of AI, I was really struck by how Atlassian is talking about this whole thing. You keep hearing all this doom and gloom about AI killing jobs, but they're seeing the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's funny because that aligns with what we're seeing across the tech industry in general. And Atlassian is actually reporting huge adoption rates for all their AI features, both the ones that are built into their existing products, like Atlassian Intelligence, and their new standalone Rovo platform. And here's the key takeaway, I think. Customers are using AI to get more done, not to fire people.
Yeah, they even shared this really interesting story about a major investment firm that's moving to the cloud over the next 3 years. Specifically because of Atlassian Intelligence. They want those AI-powered insights to make better decisions, not just to cut jobs. I thought that was a really powerful example.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how this is all going to play out. You know how AI is going to reshape the way we work. And it seems like Atlassian is positioning themselves at the forefront of this whole shift, helping teams work smarter, not necessarily smaller.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about this move into the enterprise market. They're clearly going after those bigger contracts. And it seems like it's working.
Yeah, their new CRO, Brian Duffy, has a ton of experience transforming sales organizations, which I think is really important right now. And they're seeing strong growth in that $1 million plus customer segment, which shows you that they're getting traction.
Yeah, they're definitely putting all the pieces in place
to
compete for those enterprise deals. And I think it's a smart move because that segment has just huge growth potential.
Absolutely. So I think, if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, Atlassian seems to be hitting all the right notes. Strong earnings, a ton of innovation, that laser focus on big companies. And AI really leading the charge is a really powerful combination, even with all the economic uncertainty that's out there.
Yeah, and let's not forget about their product innovation. Jira Service Management, or JSM, as they call it, is still a star performer. And they're constantly iterating and improving their entire product lineup.
Yeah, and what I think is fascinating is that this constant improvement seems to be baked into their DNA. It's not just about flashy new features. It's about consistently delivering value and staying ahead of what customers need. And I think that's definitely getting attention.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about Rovo, their AI-powered platform. A lot of people are curious about this. What exactly is it, and why is it such a big deal?
So Rovo is really a big step forward, I think, in how teams use information. Think of it as like an AI teammate that understands everything your team knows. And I don't just mean within Atlassian products. I mean across all kinds of tools like Google Docs, Slack, GitHub, even Figma.
So it's more than just like another chatbot.
Yeah. Oh, way more. It's powered by something they call the teamwork graph. And you can think of that as a map of all your team's data. You know your projects, your documents, even your chats. And Rovo uses that to understand what you're working on and to give you smarter answers.
That sounds incredibly powerful. How are people actually using Rovo? What are the main use cases?
I mean, it can do a lot. Like imagine sifting through mountains of data to answer some really complex question, or automating tasks and workflows so your team can focus on the more strategic stuff. It's like having a tireless assistant that just helps you work smarter and faster.
Yeah, and they're using a consumption-based pricing model for Rovo, which is a little different for them, right?
Right. You pay based on how many agents you use. And you can think of these agents as virtual team members that do tasks and interact with data. Now, this agent-based pricing might sound a little complicated, but think of it this way. You only pay for the AI muscle you actually use. So for smaller teams, it could actually be super cost-effective.
This is fascinating stuff. Atlassian is really pushing the boundaries of AI here, and they're not afraid to try new pricing models to reflect the value that they're offering.
And remember, it's still early days for Rovo. I mean, we're just starting to see what this platform can do, it'll be really interesting to watch how it evolves and how it changes the way we work.
Absolutely. Okay. So before we get into the financial details and all that, and what the analysts were asking, let's pause for a second and think about what we've learned so far.
What stands out to you from all this?
I'm really impressed with their commitment to AI. I mean, they're not just talking about it. They're building real solutions that are already delivering value. And the fact that they're seeing such strong adoption, especially among those big enterprise clients, tells me they're onto something really big here.
I agree. They're walking the walk. All right, are you ready to dive into the numbers and see what the analysts had to say?
Absolutely. Let's see what other insights we can uncover from this earnings call.
So one analyst asked about, Atlassian's decision to actually create a separate AI product like Rovo instead of just adding AI features to their existing products.
Yeah, that's a good question. I was wondering that myself.
Yeah, and Mike Cannon-Brookes, one of the CEOs, explained that they're actually doing both. They're continuing to invest heavily in integrating AI into their current products, like we see with Atlassian Intelligence, but they also see Rovo as a completely different kind of opportunity.
So like a two-pronged approach to AI.
Exactly. Atlassian Intelligence is all about making those existing products like Jira and Confluence, smarter and more efficient. But Rovo is this platform that's built from the ground up to leverage AI in new ways.
Got it. And how is the pricing for Rovo different from their usual offerings?
Well, like we talked about earlier, Rovo uses that consumption-based pricing based on agents. It's a little different from their typical per-user pricing, and it reflects the unique way this platform works and the value it delivers.
Right. It makes sense that they'd try new pricing models, especially with how quickly this whole AI landscape is changing. Did they say anything about early adoption rates or customer feedback for Rovo?
They didn't share specific numbers, which is understandable since it's still pretty early. But Cannon-Brookes sounded optimistic. He said demand is strong, and they're actually exceeding their initial expectations.
That's good to hear. It'll be interesting to see how Rovo performs and how it impacts their financials in the coming quarters.
Definitely another analyst asked about what drove their overall cloud revenue to outperform, especially since this was their biggest beat since they started giving guidance.
Yeah, what did they attribute that to? Was it mostly the economy stabilizing, or were there other factors involved?
So Joe Binz, the CFO, pointed to a few things. He said the economic environment has stabilized, which contributed to more paid users and cloud migrations than they had expected.
So those external factors were definitely playing a role.
Yeah, but they also emphasized how well their sales team actually performed during the quarter. They talked about good deal flow and a smart approach to pricing, focusing on long-term value instead of short-term gains.
So it sounds like they're striking a good balance between taking advantage of favorable market conditions and staying disciplined.
Absolutely. And, even though they exceeded expectations in Q1, they're still being cautious about the rest of the year. They cited the ongoing economic uncertainty and the fact that their enterprise go-to-market strategy is still evolving.
Which seems wise, given how unpredictable things are right now.
I agree. They know that those bigger, more complex enterprise deals take longer to close, and they're really focused on building a sustainable business for the long haul.
Now let's talk about something that's been a big part of Atlassian's story for years. There's significant investment in research and development.
Yes, they consistently put around 35% of their revenue back into R&D, which is a lot higher than many other tech companies. It's clearly a core part of their philosophy and how they drive innovation.
One analyst pointed out that, the pace of innovation from Atlassian lately have been pretty remarkable. Do they give any insights into what's fueling this surge?
So Cannon-Brookes said that there hasn't been a fundamental change in their approach to R&D. They're still focused on making developers more productive and building world-class engineering and product teams.
So more of a continuation of what they've always done.
Exactly, but he did mention that. Their cloud platform has matured to the point where they can develop more sophisticated products faster, and with a greater focus on creating unique value, they're basically reaping the benefits of all those years of investment in their core technology.
That makes sense. It's like they laid the foundation.
Yeah.
And now they can build on it more efficiently.
Precisely. And products like Jira Product Discovery, Compass, and even Rovo are all examples of this. They're really using the power and flexibility of the cloud to deliver advanced features and meet those evolving customer needs.
Speaking of specific products, there was a lot of talk about Jira Service Management, or JSM. It seems like it's still a major growth driver for them.
It really is. They said they now have over 55,000 customers using JSM, and they attributed this success to having a superior product, a strong value proposition, and better value for the price compared to a lot of their older competitors.
And how does AI fit into the JSM story?
So they've been adding AI features to JSM, especially in areas like DevOps and virtual service agents. For example, they've got AI-powered features that help process alerts and automate routine tasks. This makes things more efficient and lets those human agents focus on the more complicated issues.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really innovating in the service management space,
Yeah.
using AI to streamline things and create a more intelligent experience.
Absolutely. And they see big potential for JSM to grow beyond its traditional uses. In IT and DevOps, they're expanding into areas like HR marketing and finance.
Interesting. So they see JSM as this platform with much broader applications, not just like a niche tool for specific teams.
Exactly. They want to make JSM the central hub for all kinds of service requests and workflows within a company.
Now let's turn to something else that's been a key focus for Atlassian. Their transition from on-premise data centers to the cloud.
Yeah, this has been a multi-year journey for them, and they're definitely making progress. They said a lot of customers are moving to the cloud because they want access to Atlassian's AI features, which are mostly available in their cloud offerings.
So they're seeing like a direct link between AI and cloud adoption.
Definitely. It's a big incentive for customers to make the switch. They also mentioned that a lot of those larger data center customers are taking a hybrid approach, moving some things to the cloud while keeping some infrastructure on-premise.
Which makes sense, especially for companies with really complex IT setups. It lets them gradually move to the cloud at their own pace while still getting some of the benefits.
Exactly. And they emphasize that this is a long-term process. Different customers will take different paths depending on their needs and circumstances.
It sounds like they're taking a very customer-focused approach here, understanding that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. When it comes to cloud migration,
Absolutely. They're all about providing the support and resources to make sure the transition is smooth, successful for everyone, no matter how big or complex their setup is.
before we wrap up this section, let's touch on one last topic that came up in Q&A, their pricing strategy.
Yeah, there were some questions about why they've started using consumption-based pricing for products like Rovo
Yeah.
and certain features within JSM.
Did they explain their thinking behind this shift?
Yeah, so Cannon Brooks stressed that they're really focused on the customer when it comes to pricing. They're careful about where consumption-based pricing makes sense, aiming to align costs with value, and make sure customers are getting a clear return on their investment.
So they're not just jumping on the consumption-based pricing bandwagon because it's trendy.
Not at all. They're being very strategic, making sure it aligns with their overall philosophy and delivers tangible benefits for their customers.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring the key themes and insights from Atlassian's Q1 2025 earnings call. I'm really struck by their continued focus on innovation, their disciplined approach to growth, and their commitment to the cloud.
What I think is especially noteworthy is how they've embraced AI, both by adding it to their existing products and by developing entirely new platforms like Rovo. They're definitely positioning themselves to be a leader in this space. And it'll be interesting to see how their AI strategy plays out in the years to come.
Absolutely. Okay, are you ready to wrap things up and share some key takeaways from this deep dive?
Let's do it.
So we spent some time with this Atlassian earnings call. What are the big takeaways here?
For me, it's their strategic agility. They're doing a really impressive job navigating a tricky economic environment, but still executing on these, ambitious initiatives.
Yeah, it's like they're playing 3D chess, dealing with short-term challenges, while also setting themselves up for long-term success. Their cloud-first strategy, the aggressive push into enterprise, their full embrace of AI. These aren't just buzzwords for them. They're actively shaping their products, their operations, and really their entire future.
And what I think is really impressive is they're doing all of this without sacrificing their core values. They're committed to being customer-centric. They're focused on innovation, and they really believe in the power of teamwork.
It's a really powerful combination, and it's clearly working for them. The strong financial performance, the growing customer base, all the positive feedback we're seeing about products like JSM and Rovo, it all points to a company that's in a great position to thrive, even with all this uncertainty that's out there.
Yeah, one thing I found particularly interesting was their nuanced take on AI. They're not just chasing the hype, they're approaching it thoughtfully and pragmatically. They see the potential of AI to augment human capabilities, but they also recognize the potential concerns and challenges.
Yeah, it's not just about automating everything away. It's about finding that right balance between human intelligence and artificial intelligence, enabling teams to work smarter, not necessarily fewer.
Yeah, and that's a crucial distinction, especially right now when there's so much anxiety about the future of work. Atlassian is showing us that AI can be a force for good, helping people be more productive, more creative, and more fulfilled in their work.
So what does all this mean for you? If you're interested in companies that are pushing the boundaries of innovation, embracing the cloud and AI in meaningful ways, and building a culture of customer centricity, then Atlassian is definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, they're not afraid to challenge conventions, to experiment, to evolve. I think they're a good reminder that to succeed in today's fast-changing world, you need that agility, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace new ideas.
Well said. One final thought to leave you with. With all this momentum and ambition, what's next for Atlassian? What new frontiers will they explore? What impact will they have on the future of work? We can't predict the future, but one thing's for sure. It's going to be exciting to watch this journey unfold. That's it for this deep dive into Atlassian's Q1 2025 earnings call. Thanks for joining us.